Hey book readers, it may be fourth from the sun, but it's first in our sci-fi hearts. I'm talking about our rusty red neighbor, Mars. It's the setting for some really good books, so I put together this quick list of 7 of my favorites. Up first is Out of Silent Planet, and this classic sci-fi from way back in 1938 is seriously underrated. It features Dr. Ransom, a mild-mannered professor who's kidnapped and taken to Malacandra, which we soon find out is what the locals, or aliens, call Mars. But Ransom escapes from his captors and ends up meeting 3 different kinds of aliens, the Harassa, the Sorns, and the Fiffletriggi. Probably not pronouncing those right at all. And these aliens are actually really nice, unlike his captors. They live in complete harmony with the world and its wise ruler, which they call Oyarsa. And it's kind of along the lines, if you think about it, like the Na'vi in the movie Avatar. And since this book was written almost 100 years ago, C.S. Lewis clearly gets a lot of things wrong about what Mars would actually be like. But it's still a fantastic setting. And what's cool is that part of the book actually centers around trying to explain why humans didn't realize that there were Martians. And the revelation is pretty well done. There's adventure, there's otherworldly descriptions, and questions about our place in the cosmic picture. And I loved it so much that I read the entire trilogy. It's a quick read. Definitely read the first one. Keep going if you like that one. Next up is Last Day on Mars. And this was a surprisingly good YA sci-fi set in the year 2213 as the sun is slowly going supernova for some strange reason that we aren't all that sure about. And humans have already left Earth for Mars, but now it's, as the title says, it's the last day before the final humans depart Mars for a new star system. They're leaving the solar system. But during this last day, because it's YA, 2 teens make some discoveries that rewrite their understanding of what's happening to the sun, like I talked about, and where we fit into the cosmic picture. And I know it kind of sounds like I'm hating on YA, but this book was a lot deeper than I thought a YA book would be. It starts out pretty slow but picks up steam and adds some layers, including there are powerful devices in here. There's these sci-fi bad guys, which are pretty good. Well, bad guys pretty good, bad guys done well. And there are practical strategies that these 2 teens use for escaping the bad guys. It doesn't seem too far-fetched. It leaves some questions unanswered, which is fine. It wants you to keep reading the next book in this series, but it's a great start to this sci-fi YA series, and I honestly didn't think I'd like it half as much as I did, so it's probably even higher. It should probably be even higher in my estimation than it is. And we're moving on to another classic, another Martian classic, which is A Princess of Mars, and this is from 1912, and it's a classic sci-fi pulp novel that gave us the John Carter character, which you might be familiar with from the somewhat recent Disney movie that's severely underrated in my opinion. It's kind of a rewatchable for me. And John Carter is this Civil War vet who gets teleported to Mars and meets all manner of different Martian folks while he's there, including a fierce princess named Deja Thoris. And his Earthman physique just so happens to make him this kind of Superman on Mars, so that helps with all the battles that he's going to have to fight. It's a rip-roaring good time that may feel slightly dated and pretty obvious with where it's going, but it still packs a powerful sci-fi punch. Up next is one that people are probably more familiar with, and that's Red Rising. And in this one, Darrow is our main character. He's a lonely teenage laborer mining Mars in order to help terraform the planet. But that story is not all that it seems. Tragedy strikes, and Darrow has to help his people by transforming himself into an elite gold, right? There's this tiered social system, and he's got to compete in this high-stake war games with other teens in order to kind of complete his process into a gold. There are battles, betrayals, and twists aplenty, and the writing is just so action-packed that you barely have a chance to catch your breath before the next major something or other happens. And Darrow is a really great character. He's got a lot of layers that he's dealing with, which makes him super deep, he's complex, and it makes this dystopian book way better than it has any business being. Darrow is at risk physically in the book, socially, emotionally, all the alleys. And because making friends and enemies is all part of this game that he has to take part in. And ultimately the end goal of that is to prove that you're the top dog, that you're a born and bred leader who can conquer even the strongest enemies, the strongest foes. You can beat them. And another book, probably the most well-known book that's set on Mars that I'm going to talk about now is The Martian. I'll just give you a quick overview and review since so many people are familiar with this one. So after a dust storm forces his crew to abandon him, our main character, the astronaut Mark Watney, finds himself stranded on Mars with only a few scant resources. But thanks to his background in engineering and some botanical skills as well, he stretches his food, he produces water, and even starts growing crops. And even though it's fiction, the book feels real. I'm no math or science prodigy, but Watney's science-y solutions all seemed actually doable. And Watney's personality is great too. He's resourceful, self-deprecating, and relatable as he MacGyver's different ways to increase his chances of survival. Next on my list is the book Double Star, and in this one, Lorenzo Smythe is a down-on-his-luck actor until he's hired to impersonate the most famous politician in the galaxy. And what starts as a paycheck, because he thinks he's only doing this for a short time, it becomes a masterclass in deception as Lorenzo gets sucked into this high-stakes conspiracy that could change the fate of Earth and Mars, so it's clearly not taking as little time as he thought it would. Lorenzo is like this sci-fi version of Daniel Day-Lewis. He's using this method acting technique, and he hardly ever breaks character, so the lines really start to blur in the book between Lorenzo's real identity and his fake, pretend, imaginary politician identity. It's a fun, lighthearted book with just enough political maneuvering and great back and forth dialogue to really hook you. And last, but certainly not least, is The Martian Chronicles. And I've talked about this one a couple times before. It's a collection of Ray Bradbury short stories that revolve around the colonization of Mars, also the Martians who did or do live there, and so much more. There's a lot jam-packed in these stories. And each one is super entertaining and paints a unique picture of the Martian setting. I won't rehash all of my takes here. I've done it a couple times before, but if you're interested in hearing more about this one, be sure to check out my video on the best Ray Bradbury books. I have a ton of different ones in there, but of course one of my favorites is The Martian Chronicles. There you have it, some of my favorite books that are set on Mars. Let me know if you've read any of these and what other great reads are set on our celestial neighbor that you'd recommend. Happy reading!